What's up, everybody? Super fan here from Mustang Weekly Update number 52, a year of Mustang Weekly Updates, which is crazy. And so anyway, just gonna get right into this one. I'm exhausted this week. As many of you know, I film these on Thursdays, and that's why, you know, it takes a while to edit them and then post them up on Friday. And this Thursday today, I happen to need to report for jury duty. So anyone that's ever done that before knows it's normally not the most fun process, at least here in Pennsylvania. So you know, you have to show up, and it took the entire day for them to you know, interview me twice, and everyone else, of course. There's, you know, dozens of potential jurors, and you know, they finally decide who ends up being on the jury and who doesn't. And fortunately, I did not have to be on the jury and you know, come back for subsequent days. It was just a one-day thing for me, so I was lucky in that regard. But it was a very long and boring day, so that's why I'm filming this kind of late in the day. So if this or the news portion looks a little dark or crappy lighting, that's why. I apologize. I'm just doing this now. I just immediately came home, changed, and just came right back out in the car to film this for you guys. So anyway, what's new with the Mustang this week? Well, two things I did to it this past week. The first is that I changed the oil in it. It's right around 5,000 mile mark is when I change it every, you know, I don't know, it normally comes up every 3 or 4 months for me, but I've been chilling out on the miles a little bit here. I'm about 50 miles away from 24,000, but yeah, so it changed the oil, and I did not film it again, but of course, you can go back and watch my oil change video I did last time if you're curious as to how I did it. And you know, very seamless, easy process. It was much easier to get that drain bolt out this time since I had tightened it myself the last time, so that was a relief. It was nice and quick and easy. The spark plugs, that's something that I did because I appreciate all of your feedback, by the way, about last week's video and about my whole scare with the misfire or whatever happened in the Mustang. And you know, it's a mixed thing. You know, a lot of people say this whole thing is like BS, and a lot of other people are like, yeah, I've known about this for years, this is old news. So it was kind of a mixed reception as far as you know, the whole LSPI thing and the debate regarding that and why it occurs, and you know, what you should and shouldn't do with your car. But one thing that I did learn whenever I was doing research on the various you know, forums and things that I was on was that the main thing that I learned, okay, I think this guy, all right, sorry. The main thing that I learned is that a lot of the good tuners out there actually recommend getting one-step colder spark plugs anyway for a Mustang EcoBoost whenever you're running a tune. That's just been good practice, I guess, over the past year, and I didn't realize that. I had never found this out until recently, and so, oh, roadkill or something. That's interesting. I'll be posting that in my monthly with dash cam compilation video. But anyway, so yes, I'm sorry, I'm getting very distracted. I'm very tired, and so anyway, so yes, the spark plugs, I put them in one step colder. I'm struggling here, I'm sorry guys. And so it makes the car, because some people were asking, I posted up about it on Instagram and Twitter and stuff, and people were asking, you know, does it make the car run any smoother, or, you know, does it improve it at all? Obviously, I'm not going to try and replicate the conditions of, you know, full throttle 6 gear that made the car misfire last time, although these spark plugs are supposed to make the car run a little bit, you know, better, and therefore prevent that from happening in the future. But I'm not about to try doing it again. I'm never going full throttle in 6 gear ever again in this car, or any turbocharged car for that matter. Probably just good to avoid it in any car, period. But anyway, so I'm not going to try that out, but I mean, it seems to be a little bit smoother. Honestly, it was like 45 bucks shipped for, I got NGK spark plugs. If anyone's interested in the exact model that I got, I can certainly respond to that in the comments. I don't remember the exact model right now, but they're NGK plugs. You know, they're not sponsored or anything. I just saw they were good and decided to order them. And you know, 45 bucks shipped or whatever, and gives me extra peace of mind. I'll pay 45 bucks for a little bit extra peace of mind after last week's scare. So yeah, but that's the only thing, as I'm doing a U-turn in a parking lot here, but that's the only thing you know, that I really have to say about the spark plugs. Honestly, it's still, the car runs great. As far as the install, I did not film the install because it's a very straightforward process for the most part. It just basically comes down to pulling off the engine cover, pulling out the coil packs, and then you just use a, you know, special socket for spark plugs, and you just use that to a little bump, a little acceleration. Anyway, So I just use that to, you know, pull them out there. And the regular spark plugs, I don't know much about spark plugs, so I don't know really what to look for, but the OEM spark plugs look kind of a little bit dirty and a little bit, I don't know, worn out or whatever. I don't know if that's standard for 24,000 miles or Ford plugs or whatever, but yeah, it seemed fine. But yeah, so anyway, hopefully that helps the car a little bit here. But that's it as far as all the updates on the Mustang, guys. There's lots of new unveils at the LA Auto Show this past week, so I'll just send it back to me at the news desk for this week's news. Right, for this week's news, the first thing is, of course, all the new cars that debuted at the LA Auto Show this past week. There's lots of really exciting stuff, so I'm going to get right to it. There's lots to cover. The first is Subaru unveiled the Impreza Sedan Concept, which looks very good. Looks a lot like the hatchback we saw at the Tokyo Motor Show, just in sedan form. I think it's a beautiful car, but as you know, Subaru makes beautiful concepts, and then very little of it translates into the production car. So definitely don't get your hopes up too much about this. Maybe we'll see a few little cues here and there in the production version, but just a pretty concept, I think, sadly, but still nice to see a pretty thing, even if it is just a concept. One thing that's really exciting and not a disappointment at all is the new Fiat 124 Spider, which just debuted and looks amazing to me. Now, I know there's some people that don't like this. They think it's a little weird looking. I love it. So if you've been following the weekly updates, you know this is the Mazda Miata that, you know, Mazda was working with Alfa Romeo originally, and then they decided they're going to build all the cars in Japan, and Alfa Romeo said they only want their cars to be built in Italy, not in Japan. So Alfa Romeo backed out, but Fiat, being in the same company, said, well, we'll take it. So they just decided to turn it into the Fiat 124 Spider, which is harkens back to the older 124 Spiders from long ago in the 60s and 70s, and I love it. It looks so cool to me, and so it's 5 inches longer than the Miata. It has all the great mechanicals as the same mechanicals as the Miata, same transmission, even just revised, and the interior is mostly the same, aside from a slightly beefier steering wheel and a couple other very minor things. But so it's got all the best parts of the Miata, in my opinion, but it's got, you know, the Italian styling, the Italian flair. I love that shoulder line near the door crease. It's just beautiful how it extends up. And I love the front end, you know. I think it harkens back to the original 124 Spider, but it also brings in, it looks kind of like a modern Datsun 240Z, Nissan 280Z, and it even almost reminds me a little bit of the R56 Mini Cooper. But the really nice thing is, you know, they incorporated the traditional round headlamp in a modern way that doesn't look scary, because Mini tried to do that with the new Mini Coopers, and those have these crazy looking LED rings for, you know, to try and incorporate these LEDs that everyone has. But this is, I think, a lot more of a friendlier and classier look, especially in black. It looks really, really nice. So there's a base model, and then there's the luxurious model, which has the leather seats and all that stuff. Sadly, at launch, they said only the base version is going to come with a manual. You can get it in a manual or an automatic. The luxury one, they're going to be calling the Lusso version. That one is only going to be available in an automatic, which seems kind of crazy. I mean, if obviously it's the same car, you can just put a manual in it very easily. I think they said that they probably will roll that out eventually, but for right now, the luxury version only gets an automatic, which kind of stinks. But as we know, in addition to that, they'll probably be rolling out an Abarth version, because we've seen that there has been a version of this out testing camouflage with quad exhaust pipes. And we've heard that that's going to possibly have the same engine from the Alpha 4C, 240 horsepower in a Miata. And the best thing is that this car is 5 inches longer and a little bit more luxurious than the Miata, but it's only about 100 pounds heavier, which isn't bad. So I think they said it's still right under 2,500 pounds, which is still a very lightweight car, and should be a really impressive thing to drive. So the best thing is, you know, it doesn't have the Miata engine. That's the best thing about this, is it's got all the great Miata mechanicals except for the engine, which has more power. So it's got 160 horsepower and 184 pound-feet of torque, which, you know, I think the Miata is doing 155 horsepower, but it's down to, I think, about 156 pound-feet of torque or something. So the Abarth, or, you know, this motor is out of the Abarth. It's the 500 Abarth motor that's, you know, it's got much more torque than you have in the Miata engine. So it's going to be faster than the Miata, and they're going to have an even faster version yet. So Fiat's just really given the Miata what I think it needed all along. Really exciting to see that. And to be perfectly honest, I've always wanted a fun little convertible, and I like the new Miatas, but I'm not a huge fan of the back end of them. This car is beautiful. It ticks all the boxes to me. Yeah, you know, maybe if I could afford a second little fun weekend car down the road in a few years, that may very well be what I pick up. I really like it that much. So anyway, I will continue on here because there's lots of other cars to get to. Another really impressive car that debuted was the 2017 Lincoln MKZ, which got a nice restyling here, mostly for the front end. The back end is almost identical to the previous version. The front end is very nice, has the same grille we saw off the Lincoln Continental Concept that's going to be rolled out on other Lincolns, like the new Continental and other stuff in the future. Really pretty headlights, and I think continues on with the MKZ's recent heritage of really beautiful designs. And I think that's really stunning. The interior is spectacular, especially on the Black Label version. And the best part is there's a new engine option, a 400 horsepower engine you can now get in this car. It's a 3-liter twin-turbo V6. It's the old EcoBoost 2.7-liter V6 turbo motor that's been grown a little bit to 3 liters and 400 horsepower. Now, this motor is exclusive to this Lincoln right now. It'll probably make its way into the Continental, is my guess. We may also see this motor in a Ford Fusion ST, possibly, or an RS version or something like that down the road. But great to see that as an option. Otherwise they've made other improvements here and there. They got rid of all the capacitive touch stuff on the inside and just have good old knobs and things like that, which is, I think, a welcome change for a lot of people. But really great improvements there, and hopefully it helps to sell the Lincoln even better. And some supercar news. Lamborghini unveiled the new Huracan LP580-2, which is a rear-wheel drive Huracan, which should solve all the understeer issues everyone complains about. And it's been slightly detuned, and it's actually cheaper than the all-wheel drive version, which is very cool because it's actually 70 pounds lighter as well. So this is really the purest enthusiast version of the Huracan. Unfortunately, it's only available with the paddle shifters. You cannot get a manual transmission, unfortunately, but looks good. You know, they kind of swapped out the front and rear bumpers a little bit. I'm not totally sold on them. I think I like the regular Huracan's front bumper better. This looks a little bit like it's trying to be a Ferrari 48 GTB, but still looks pretty good. I think that should sell even better. I mean, the Huracans are already flying off lots, so a cheaper version that's lighter and rear-wheel drive, I think, just makes it even more fun. That sounds like a winning combination. So great to see that from Lamborghini. And Mercedes unveiled the new SL. Now there's the new base one is the SL 450. Then there's the E550, of course, along with the AMG versions that will come later on. But it looks really nice. You know, they put the new front end on it, and I think it really has done wonders for the looks of the SL, which before was a little lackluster. And so great to see all the pictures of that there. Really an impressive car. Of course, it's got other improvements. It has that active body control thing out of the S Coupe, which is very sweet, and all the other gizmos and gadgets from Mercedes-Benz like you would expect from a car that's well over $100,000. And so cool to see that they have unveiled that. And Honda has unveiled the Honda Civic Coupe, the new 2016 version. Looks really great, looks much like the sedan, but I really love that they retained so much of the concept car styling. It looks very aggressive, very classy, looks a little bit more expensive now as well, and it's a slightly bit more expensive, but really great to see that. We still haven't seen the SI or the Type R versions, of course, and the crazy thing with this, now you can get it in a manual, but now there's two engine options. There's a 2-liter naturally aspirated 4-cylinder, and then there's the 1.5-liter turbocharged 4-cylinder, which is the upper motor in the trim level hierarchy. And the crazy thing is, though, the faster engine you can't get in a manual. You can only get the manual on the base standard engine car. So if you want a fast Civic, you're going to have to wait for the SI if you want a manual. But still, cool that they have that new turbo engine in there, but sadly only automatic, or it's the CVT especially. It's not even a regular automatic CVT, but it looks, really nice. I think they did a good job with it, and I can't wait to see it with the SI treatment and the Type R treatment even more so. Also, Alfa Romeo brought out the US version of the 2017 Giulia and the Giulia Quadrifoglio, or however you pronounce that. I still can't get it right. Anyway, looks good. Just basically they added the orange side markers like we need here in the US. Horsepower is still the same on the performance one. It's 505 horsepower. They did say that the price here in the US for that M5 fighting Alfa is going to be right around $70,000, which undercuts the Germans and things like that. It's not quite as fast as an M5, but still very impressive performance. They claim it's the fastest four-door car around the Nürburgring, I believe, for production, which seems a little optimistic, but who knows. And so cool to see that. We also found out, though, that there's going to be base versions that will also come with all-wheel drive down the road eventually. But that motor is a turbocharged 4-cylinder that does 276 horsepower. Very respectable as well for the regular version. And I'm sure that'll come in much more affordable than the top-of-the-line one there. But very cool to see that. And Jaguar did the same thing where they showed off what the XE is going to look like here for 2017 in the US. Now, it's been on sale as a 2016 model already, so this actually has some 2017 improvements, but we haven't even gotten the 2016 one yet. So we're just going to start off with an improved version of the car that was already very good according to the reviews and things. So as you can see, it's got the orange side marker treatment again, like we need here in the US. Otherwise, though, it's very competitively priced, and it's got a slew of different engines you can choose from. There's a 2-liter turbocharged 4-cylinder, there's a diesel, and then you can also get the base F-Type motor, the 3-liter supercharged V6 with 340 horsepower. And they all come with automatics, and I think you can get a manual possibly in some of the lower ones, but I believe the top dog one is only automatic. But it's 8-speed automatic, which is, it's an excellent transmission, so no one's going to be really complaining too much. But the price is for the base one with a 2-liter 4-cylinder, it's right around $35,000 starting. The diesel's at like 36.5. And then the performance one with the F-Type motor, that's called the 35T, that is going to be starting at $41,700. Still very affordable, right in line there with the 3 Series and vehicles like that. And so great to see that. It's also got better infotainment and a few other little improvements here and there. So can't wait for those to actually start showing up here in the States, because I think it's going to hopefully sell really well for Jag. Other Jaguar news is they've actually slashed the prices of the F-Type yet again for 2017, which, I mean, these cars aren't even going to be available till late spring of next year. But the base model is now $3,600 cheaper for the coupe, and then the convertible is about $2,700 cheaper. So the coupe's going to start at $62,395, and the convertible is going to start at $66,395. And they all come with the manual now as the base transmission, and really, a lot of great standard equipment they gave in 2016 that obviously will carry over to 2017 here. So really getting to be more and more of a better bargain as the years go by. So great to see that. Another car that was unveiled at the LA Auto Show is the 2016 Nissan Sentra, which, borrows a lot of the face from the other Nissan models and looks good. And, it's just a kind of a refresh and, some improvements here and there. Same engines and all that good stuff. But, good little car that now has been brought up to date. Other stuff that's got quick refreshes, the 2017 GMC Canyon finally has a Denali edition, and so we have a few pictures of it here. It looks a little bit nicer, and on the inside and the out they've improved it, and it obviously has a higher price tag. They've also done the same treatment to the 2016 GMC Sierra Denali, but there's now a new Denali Ultimate version, which is even more expensive, even nicer inside, and we have a picture of it here, and looks like a very nice truck. So they're just quick little, things they've done to improve those. And then Ford has taken the wraps off at the LA Auto Show here. The 2017 Ford Escape, which has a mid-cycle refresh here and looks very handsome. Is borrowing a grille from the Explorer and things like that, and looks really good. I think they've definitely improved it. The interior is improved as well to be more usable. They said they listened to customer feedback and have worked really hard to give everyone what they want. And so, the engines are mostly the same. The 1.6-liter turbo is now replaced with a 1.5-liter. Otherwise, though, they're the same engine options, and but it has better technology with the new Sync 3 and all that good stuff in it, and should be a very improved vehicle all around. Also, Volkswagen unveiled the Beetle Dune. Now, at the 2014 Detroit Auto Show, we saw a concept version. This is the production version. They actually built it, and it's awesome, except it only comes in 3 colors. It's just, a Beetle that has this more aggressive body kit on it, and then it's raised off the ground, I think, an extra 0.6 inches. So a little bit more of an aggressive stance. Who knows how well those will sell, but a very cool idea and very bold of Volkswagen to put this out there and see how it does. So I always love, that they go for some of these kind of oddball things. Another oddball thing that Volkswagen's doing is they've also rolled out the Volkswagen Beetle Denim, which is a convertible Beetle that has a denim-styled convertible top, and the whole interior is themed after denim as well. And it kind of revives the 70s Beetles with the denim and whatnot, and just a cool little special edition. They're only making 2,000 of them. But very cool to see them going out on a limb there with that as well. And Hyundai unveiled the 2017 Hyundai Elantra, which, it's, I don't know. I think I prefer the styling of the old one better, to be perfectly honest. But, it's still a very efficient, great little, sedan for those that are looking for something like that. It's, a huge value. And, you know, I think that overall they've modernized it a little bit, and just, I don't know, I'm not totally sold on that front end, but yeah, so cool to see that they've updated that. And another car that's been updated that's affordable is the 2017 Mitsubishi Mirage, which, you know, actually looks a little bit like a Buick with those headlights now, and they've actually made it look a lot nicer. I think they've really been selling well here in the States, and so they've managed to make it look a little bit more upscale, a little bit more refined here. Given that it's, you know, a super, super affordable car, I think they've made some really good improvements that will only help sell it even more. Other Mitsubishi news is they also unveiled the refresh for the 2016 Mitsubishi Outlander Sport, which takes some cues from the larger Outlander. Looks good. It's got a little bit of an Evo-inspired front end there. Looks a little bit angrier. Has all the usual improvements on the inside and the out, and so, you know, it's still got the same engines and all that kind of stuff. So mostly unchanged underneath, but nice to see that they've given that a restyling. Mazda has unveiled the 2017 CX-9, which is their largest SUV, and looks much like the CX-3 and CX-5, very, you know, keeping in line with the family design, which looks very good in this case. And, you know, it's only shared really with, you know, a few of these SUVs and a few of the sedans. I think it's beautiful. I love this front end, the headlight treatment, everything looks really well done. And it's going to be interesting though, because it has a turbocharged 4-cylinder as its only engine, which is 250 horsepower, maybe a little bit small for a huge, large vehicle with 3 rows of seats and all that kind of stuff. But who knows? I mean, I'm sure it gets the job done. It's a large SUV. No one's going to be going and taking it drag racing, so it should be good enough. But yes, and so that's it as far as all the LA stuff. A few other quick things. Lotus has updated the Elise with a new sport version and a Sport 220. We don't get the Elise here in America anymore, so this is just for my overseas viewers here. But, you know, they've made it a little bit lighter and a little bit sportier, and just improved it overall. And hopefully, you know, we'll get some of those same improvements whenever the Elise comes back to the States for the new version that we'll be getting. I think they said somewhere around 2020, so it'll be a little bit of a wait. But cool to see that. Also, Motor Trend officially named the 2016 Chevrolet Camaro as Car of the Year, which, you know, everyone can discuss in the comments if they like. I think there's a lot of stiff competition out there. I was a little surprised that it won. Not that I don't like Camaros. I love them. I've reviewed plenty of them. I'm very excited to review a 2016 Camaro as soon as I possibly can. But I was a little surprised to see that one Car of the Year. But awesome. Congrats to Chevrolet for that. Must be a very impressive car. And other news, this is a follow-up from last week. I mentioned how there was the Audi S8 Plus, and I mentioned that it might be around 140 grand. I was way off, and shortly after I posted up that video, Audi officially priced and released all the US pricing for the car. It's actually only $115,000. Pretty good bargain for 605 horsepower. And they've also unveiled the RS7 Performance, which has the same engine, 605 horsepower, and it's $129,000. Looks very awesome and aggressive, and so it's great to see that. Another pricing thing, the last news of the week here, is Chevy has announced the pricing for the 2016 Chevrolet Cruze. It's $17,495, and in case you didn't see it in the you know, several weeks ago whenever they unveiled the styling, looks very good, I think, you know, and so yeah, a nice and attractive looking little affordable car. So anyway, that's it for all the news this week, guys. So I'll send it back to me in the car. Alrighty, so I'll leave you guys with a nice little acceleration here, like I always do. Go! Oh yeah, this thing still runs good. It runs strong. You know, oh, there's another 2015 Mustang. Nice. This is, again, it could be completely just you know, a placebo effect, I guess, but it does feel like it's a tad bit faster whenever I stomp on it, and it also feels like the throttle response is slightly quicker. The only reason I notice this is whenever I'm in stop and go traffic and I like inch up a little bit with the clutch, it seems like more eager to build revs than it did before. Again, just ever so slightly, but it's just something I noticed. I don't know if it's because of the spark plugs or because of the fresh oil change, or if it's just me imagining things. But anyway, just some observations for whatever they're worth. Anyway, so that's it for, hope you guys enjoy the weekly update, and yeah, I'll see you next week. Take care.